This bonus episode of History Town is brought to you by...
It's 1862. You are hand digging through layers of frustrating gravel, hoping and praying the next shovel stroke will expose a fortune in gold. Everyone says it's crazy, but there's too much at stake. Then, just when the outcome seems impossibly bleak, the ground begins to pay. The lead is struck, and the greatest creekside placer gold deposit the world has ever seen is suddenly yours for the taking. This is Barkerville's story.
For more information, visit barkerville.ca. Barkerville, a National Historic Site of Canada.
You found History Town.
You found History
You
Town.
found History Town.
You found History Town.
Hey, you found History Town. Nice one.
Good day, folks, and welcome to a bonus episode of the History Town podcast. Now, History Town podcast is a fan-supported podcast, so I just ask you that if you do like what you hear, please like, share, retweet, and favorite all of our episodes and pass them along to people. This week is a bonus episode. I'm a bit jet-lagged from coming over from the Atlantic after a wedding and visiting my family. And I was able to capture an audio of my Uncle Fred screeching in my wife Genevieve Quick. It's fun. It's steeped in tradition in Newfoundland. You're swearing in. You are taking an oath. You are being initiated into Newfoundland. I was happy to capture it. Just as a slight audio is that the mic picks up everybody in the room. So there is laughter, clapping, kids playing. I hope you enjoy it. I will also, we'll start off with James Douglas. James Douglas is the manager of visitor experiences in Barkerville Historic Town and Park. I'm going to get him to lead off the episode. It's a little bit offbeat. However, it's a bonus episode. And now, if you know anybody who'd like to be on History Town, if you know anybody who's been an interpreter, a historian, has some great stories to share, you can reach me at matt@historytown.ca. You can reach James Douglas at james@historytown.ca or Dirk Van Stralen at dirk@historytowns.ca. We're also on Twitter at history_town. That's going to be it for me from this week. You'll be hearing me again when I sit down with Amy Newman of the Newman and Wright Theatrical Company. However, I'm going to let James take it away. James, would you like to introduce the show?
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to History Town. I'll try that again.
Okay.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to History Town. I am your erstwhile not really host producer, James Douglas, and now the man of the hour, Mr. Matthew Quick.
See, I think we should have that on every show. Because you have a great radio voice, and it's funny because I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, he should, I'm like, I don't know what you're not doing, but you should be doing like some radio or some like cartoon voice work, like, you know.
I would love to do some voiceover work, actually.
Have you ever done it?
I just have never. No, I mean, I've done little bits and pieces of comedy stuff, and I really do enjoy putting this podcast together with you, but I've never really ventured into the whole voiceover game. It's always been very interesting to me, and I have some friends who are quite successful at it. A fellow named Michael Coleman in Vancouver, who has done everything from Dragon Ball Z to Pokemon and that sort of thing. And Erin Fitzgerald is a woman that I went to school with at UVic, who is quite popular voiceover artist in California right now. So there, you know, the world has always been around, but I've just never had an opportunity.
And now, who's the Barkervillian? Ross Douglas, right? Ross Douglas.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Ross Douglas used to be the musical director of the Theatre Royal for about a decade.
That's right. I remember he does voice work, and is one that we didn't realize is that remember Molson Canadian in like 2005 had those bottle openers that would say like, "You are Canadian" or something like,
oh yeah,
or like, "We are Canadian." It was like a little Canada Day sponsor. He's the one that did that voice, and the only reason we realized it was that we were. He was over at my house, or no, he was at a party or something, and someone had it, and he goes, "Oh, that's me." And we were like, "What?" Like, "No, that's my voice." And we're like, "No, it's not." He's like, yeah, no, that's me. That's my voice. That's my work. I'm like, that's a good gig. And speaking of Canadian, we are coming up. It's Friday. We're recording this late because I traveled all the way across Canada from Newfoundland to see my cousin Jeff and my new member of the family, Nicole, get married. And uh, tomorrow, which would be the 20th, I don't mean to date us, but you're not supposed to date yourself, but we got to date ourselves because this is important, is that the Tragically Hip are performing their not, I wouldn't say last concert because I don't want to say it like that because I think it's their farewell. Is it? Or what's the specific wording? Is it their
I
last?
think they are calling it their farewell concert. There certainly has been that language around that it's their last concert. We don't really know what the state of Downey's health is entirely,
Right.
or at least I don't. But yeah, so I kind of agree with you though. I mean, even if the pundits are calling it the last concert, let's be a little bit more positive about
Yeah.
it. Who knows what he's going to do?
And tragic. I'm not a tragically. I like Tragically Hip. I've always had friends who enjoyed it. I don't mind. I'll listen to it. That's for sure. But I never was like a diehard wear the merchandise or get the CDs. I have Apple Music, so I just can shout Siri to play me Tragically Hip songs. That's about as my extent goes. But Tragically Hip had a song came out in 2006, or had an album come out in 2006, and it was around the same time that I left my full third season in Barkerville, and I was like, I'm not coming back. I bought the CD for a girlfriend that I then separated with, that I was dating for like 3 years, and I bought it for her, and her birthday was in November, and we broke up in October. And it's not because I didn't want to get her a present; it was I already had the present, so like nobody asked that way.
Right.
Um, and um I bought her this album. So it's breakups are hard, as we all know, and like it's like a person of yourself is extension of yourself is gone, what I'm trying to say. And so I played You're Not the Ocean by Tragically Hip because it's the only song that I really connected to on the album. I played it like more like one day. I played it every day. I played it in the morning, I
Yeah.
played it in the afternoon. I just kept playing this one song over and over again. And then when Richard Wright asked me to come to Barkerville, I played that song again to myself to be like, I should go back. So that's my Tragically Hip story of actually had a little
Ah.
thing part of Barkerville for me, and every time I listen to it, I'm always like, it's Barkerville coming back. Were you a hip guy? Were you like the Tragically Hip?
I wasn't. Although it's interesting because in recent months, as the build up to this concert series has happened, um, I would have told you even last year that I wasn't a Tragically Hip fan, but I realize now every song of theirs that I hear that I know I love.
Yeah.
Right. So, like you, I haven't seen them live. I didn't go to, buy T-shirts or anything like that. But I would actually say that I'm a Tragically Hip fan. I missed an opportunity 15 years ago to go see them in Kamloops. It was actually probably 20 years ago now that I think about it. And maybe that was part of what colored my attitude toward them. A bunch of friends of mine went and had a blast, and I didn't get to go. So I was kind of always the hip whatever sort of guy. But no, I actually do. I think I really do appreciate them as not only a Canadian but a global band.
When you were growing up, and we had, um, so we had in elementary school. You have history, and you discuss history. Did you ever have to act it out? Did your teacher ever get you to do that? Like you had to do like a play of like Cabot arriving in Canada or like Newfoundland and stuff like that? Did you get?
We did do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
thought that was
did.
just
We
us.
had several opportunities.
What did you always portray like? Were you James Douglas? Did they, it,
Uh, Believe it or not, no. The whole realization of James Douglas and his importance to British Columbia didn't actually even occur to me until I left Vernon. I grew up in the Okanagan, as we've talked about before, but um, I went to Victoria for my first year of official university. I had done a year of college at Okanagan University College, but then went to the theater program at UVic, and just it really hit home. Oh, okay, wait, yeah, there was somebody named James Douglas, and he seems to have been kind of important around here because everything's named after him, and thus me. Everything is named after me.
yeah.
Um, but I had a really good social studies teacher who was particularly interested in medieval history in high school. So we all got our medieval on occasionally and did little plays, versions of Renaissance and earlier plays. The pardon me.
Oh yeah.
The cycle plays and that kind of stuff. So I was really, really interested in medieval history while I was growing up, and I'm sure that we did some Canadian and British Columbia history and some play acting in those genres too. But I don't really remember it as much as I do the swords and the armor.
Well, I have a challenge for you, and I'll start first because this is a bonus episode. It's because of me traveling across Canada, and I'll say that my jet lag. Next week we're going to have the wonderful Amy Newman on, who has been patiently waiting in the wings. I mean, I felt bad for her because I thought I was being way too cocky that I would be able to land in BC and just pick up my microphone without just immediately passing out from being up having like a 23-hour day. So she's been wonderful, and we're going to have her on next week. But we also, Dirk Van Stralen, who's our technician, he also does our media, he also does our ads. Dirk is also out of town, so we figured the best thing to do is I'm going to challenge you, James. We got to improv like in the style of Dirk, a 20-second ad for Barkerville, because we have to have something, because we have to have these ads, and so with Dirk away, we're gonna have 20 seconds. I'm gonna overlap the music to do like a Barkerville ad, and we're gonna now.
Okay.
So think of a subject. I'll start first because luckily as a guy that's gets to sit around and think of these kind of things, I had some. Mine's probably gonna be not as good, but at least I'm gonna ask you to give me a subject, and I will improv a Barkerville ad for you.
Okay.
So give me a something to talk about, a subject or.
All right. Now, do you want it to be Barkerville centric, or do you want it to just be a random subject?
Well, probably Barkerville, because then that gives me a little something.
Okay. Good. Well, yes, and then we can keep to the spirit.
Exactly.
Of promoting our wonderful historic town and park. Okay, let's see. Slum.
Slum?
You know what slum is?
No, I don't know what slum is. I thought you were like, I was like, slum? Okay. What's a slum?
No. In the deep shaft mines, when they'd be mining in gravel and pumping water out of the mines so that they could send guys down to get the gold, they would occasionally encounter this almost clay-like substance called slum, and it was picture like a really thick milkshake, but it's dirt. So it's too thick to pump and too wet to shovel out. And if you hit slum underground, it would basically fill your mine shaft, and you'd basically have to pack up and leave because there was nothing that you could do. And historically, this slum material has destroyed some multi-million-dollar operations because as soon as they hit it, there's really literally nothing that they can do to get it out of the mine shafts.
Okay. So
there you go. There's your topic.
I was hoping you'd give me like bakery. Okay,
I can give you the bakery.
No. I told you I threw this game at you, and I deserve everything I get. So slum. I got 25 seconds to talk about slum.
And make it a positive message for people to come.
Totally.
To
Okay. Okay. I got a picture. I got to enchannel Dirk Van Stralen in my head and have the music in my head. Okay. I'm ready to go. Oh God, it's hard not to laugh. Okay. I'm the worst improviser, by the way. I'm also one of the worst. Like I people always tell me that I was a good actor, but I just would constantly change lines on stage because I couldn't memorize them. And I'm also not a really good improver. So like it's a dangerous combination. I'm a real wild card when in acting. Okay.
I have faith in you, Matt.
Tired of your regular work week? Constantly grinding out in your office or on the job site? How about you come to Barkerville? In Barkerville, we have many historic sites, places to visit, coffee, the bakery. We also have discussions about mining in the 1800s, the discussions about gold. So don't find yourself in the slum. That was bad.
Historic site of Canada. Barkerville, a National Historic Site of Canada.
I was really hoping that I could somehow work our slum brings all the miners to the yard, because you said it was like a milkshake. And I just couldn't
to do that.
I was like sitting there and I'm like, Barkerville, our slum brings all the miners to the yard. And but then I was like, that's really obscure. There's a reason why we pay Dirk Van Stralen good money, because that's actually pretty hard to come up with something. Okay. You think what's your Barkerville line? Barkerville, a national
historic site of Canada.
Okay, I will do that line.
Which it's also a province of BC heritage property, but that just gets a little bit long as a tagline.
That's. I mean, it's your line's pretty good. Okay, so do you want your subject? Do you think you can? I mean, I didn't set the bar so low. It's like not even. I wouldn't even qualify to Rio with that bar jump. Yet again, and they're
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty good.
Oh, well, thank you, Danny. That's why I like you around. That's why we work well together. You constantly encourage my bad behavior. Okay. So I'm going to give you okay. Yours is going to be the Caribou Sentinel. Maybe you should. Do you remember what this? It's like there's some stat like it's that in San Francisco was most.
Oh, I remember.
Please.
Yeah, the San Francisco Examiner was a huge media force during the gold rush, after the California gold rush, and towards the Yukon. So with Barkerville and the Caribou right in the center. There was the Daily British Colonist in Fort Victoria as well, which was originally published by Amour de Cosmos. And then the Caribou Sentinel was probably the third. In the Pacific Northwest, it was probably the third most significant newspaper, and some might even say more so than the Daily Colonist, just because it had such a huge subscription base. It cost $1 per issue, which was $1 a week, which was a lot of money then, but they would send it all around the world. So people in London were getting the Caribou Sentinel because they were really interested to see not only what was happening with the gold rush itself, but then everything that was spinning off from that. So a lot of the political machinations that were coming out of the Caribou that were sort of helping develop this colony of British Columbia, and then ultimately help steer it into one of the provinces in the Dominion of Canada.
Wow. Okay.
So it opened in 1865. The Sentinel opened in 1865 and ran for 10 years. It closed its doors in 1875. But for a gold camp, what was ostensibly a gold camp, that was unheard of.
Okay, so you have the Caribou Sentinel, and you have to be 25 seconds, and it has to be just like Dirk. It has to be fun. Dirk always has his ads. Like, I mean, Dirk makes his ads, and I think that's something that we don't. I mean, we talk about, but it's hard to do a 25-second ad and also get a little bit of information and make it interesting. I mean, it's good. You and Dirk, Dirk's work you've done on those ads are fantastic. And I'm not just saying that, but I really, when I first started listening to them, I'm like, these are really good, and they're nice, sweet, and they're to the point. So that's what you have to do. You have 25. You have 25 seconds. I don't think I made 25 seconds. I even created. It's pretty bad when you create something and you didn't really do good at it. But you will do good because I believe in you. I believe in you, James. Okay. And honestly, who knows? I might chop this out. We might just use it in other episodes. We'll see. Okay. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Press go. If you could come to a historic town at the end of the road and press go on a press that had been exemplifying media relations in the gold rush since 1865, and you could get your face on a wanted poster or a mining license on that press, would you press go in Barkerville? Come to Barkerville. I did my best, man.
That was fantastic.
I didn't even say Caribou Sentinel.
I was so enraptured in that.
Caribou Sentinel in Barkerville, British Columbia.
I was just staring at you. I'm like, this is fantastic. Yeah, like, wow, that was really good. I think people understood where you were coming from, although it'd be funny. I'm gonna cut our ads out after this conversation, and then I'm just gonna play them. I'm gonna see if we can just cut that one out and just play it in a random episode and see if people pick up on it. 'Cause it'll be like a nice Easter egg for people that are like, I listened to this bonus episode where Matt and James talked about like elementary school history and James Douglas not knowing James Douglas was important. And Matt told a really
Yes, things have definitely changed.
yeah, and Matt told a real sappy story about him and the Tragically Hip that really bummed us all out.
And we finally figured out exactly how important Dirk Van
Yeah.
Stralen is to their process.
We cannot listen. Like, Dirk cannot listen to this. Dirk was just gonna sit there and be like, he's gonna be like Hans Gruber in Nakatomi Plaza. He is just gonna like, I control this now. I don't know though. Like your ad just now, like it captured my imagination. I was sitting there when he said press go, I was like, I don't know where this is headed, but I'm in. We are going to hear more from James Douglas at the end of the episode. However, I think this is a fitting time to hear from my uncle Fred Hicks and his faithful assistant, my cousin Mark Hicks, at a barbecue at the eve of Jeffrey and Nicole's wedding. Here is my wife being screeched in a traditional Newfoundland manner.
They said, you gotta come and screech in this mainlander and make her an honorary Newfoundlander. So I said, listen, we've done that before. But you gotta be willing. You got to go through the process and you gotta embrace it. And really kiss. The things you gotta kiss. And they don't mean your hobby. Now, all you mainlanders here, and guys, there's some of you fellas Newfoundlanders been away too long. That you probably You know, I got a lot of bologna here, and a little bit of hard bread, and there's nice, one of these in mine. You can't have all of them. But, we should have, if you can answer the question, you don't have to get screeched in. But I'll wait till when we get to the missus here, and first to see if you can answer the question. Now, the first thing we gotta do, I heard you've been down and seen the salt water.
Yes.
And you love the salt water.
Yeah.
The first thing we gotta do, we gotta bless you a little bit of salt water. There. Now, you officially can go near the salt water and say, pardon. But that's only a little bit, right? Newfoundland is all about the food you eat. And the food we used to eat, what we still eat. That's what I said. Anyway, we have Newfoundland steak. Now in this case here, this is wild bologna. This was killed the other day. I killed him up in the cabin. I caught him coming around the bed with the horn. Killed him. Skinned them, cooked them. There it is.
There he is.
Just for you.
Well, thank you, sir.
Just for you. I even had to freeze it though first. So the next thing you gotta do, is eat a little bit of the Newfoundland steak.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's good stuff. Now, that's the good part. Then there's hard bread. Hard bread comes from hard times.
Not hard bread, it's hard bread.
Hard bread.
Hard bread.
Hard bread. This is what is used to make what the traditional fish and brews, which you boil hard bread, you mix it with fish, and you have fish and brews.
Don't forget scrunchies.
And the scrunchy, you gotta fry some pork and throw that in and everything. But Newfoundlanders, fishermen, in the old days, used to take that with them, fishing, because it didn't get soggy. It didn't get, it didn't get worms and stuff like that. So that's what they used to do, and they used to eat that, hard bread. And there's a reason why it's called hard bread. It's effing hard. So you need to take a little small piece of this. Smallest piece there.
Don't crack off your teeth.
And don't crack off your tooth. Let it soak a while. Half an hour's time now, what time?
This can just hang out.
Okay. Well, that's the easy part. So far you've been sitting. Now you gotta be down on your knocks. Yes! That knocks. He's a Mainlander boy, but she's smart. You're not pretty good. You're not pretty good. Down on your knocks. Now, Newfoundland is all about the sea. Early Newfoundland was all about fishing and all about fish being exchanged for rum, actually. And I'll tell you a little story for those who don't know. Most Dave knows it, and most of the guys know it. Basically, what the Newfs used to do in 1800s, late 1800s, years, catch fish here, catch the fish and salt it, go to Bermuda, exchange the salt fish for rum. And that's what it was called, the golden trade, it was called. And that went on for years and years and years. Still goes on, actually, but they don't trade fish anymore. They just bring the raw meat. But the mother of Newfoundland, the codfish. Now, we only brought a little part of the codfish for you today. If you got to kiss the lips. And, you know, like, he's not too bad. He's not too slimy. You know, like,
Just slimy enough?
Oh yeah, just slimy enough. Yeah. I think he was raised to be, but I think the rest of them were pretty deep. Because someone got down. But you get to kiss the cow.
Okay, you just better just
I know.
I'll do it.
You got to kiss this part. There you go. Now, here's where we're going to test the rest of them. The rest of them Mainlanders too. The last test you have to pass to be an honorary Newfoundlander is to drink a drop of Screech. This is Newfoundland Screech right here. And it comes, the Screech name comes from, it was rumored that it was American servicemen serving here in 1944, and this is Bermuda rum, right? And it was rumored that he went and he opened her up and he took a big drop, and the yell he let out of him was a screech that we heard I had across Avenue. So that's why it's got its name, Screech. So you want to take a drink of the Screech, but before you do that, I'm going to ask you, there's a saying you'll have to remember when you being an honorary Newfoundlander. Well, I'm going to ask them fellows first. Is you a screecher?
Indeed.
They never said it. Cyril never said it.
No, Cyril never said it, but he wants to drink rum.
The last time I was to a Screech and I got in line and he said, "You sit down, you're not in."
And I don't think Matthew said it either.
I didn't say it, but I wanted some rum.
There's one there for you.
Perfect.
Now, here's the saying. When I ask you, is you a screecher? Indeed I is.
Indeed I is.
Which means,
Indeed I am.
the old cock, which means the old friend. And long may your big jib draw. And that means, may you have fair weather from yourself. So, indeed I is, the old cock, and long may your big jib draw. And if anybody ever asks you, is you a screecher? You got the answer.
No, she got to say it.
She won't let you. She got to do.
Oh, okay.
She has her screech. Right? Here's to it. Now, is you a screecher?
Indeed I is.
Yeah.
Me.
Is you a screecher?
You gotta say it all.
You're gonna have me
Is you a screecher?
Indeed I is.
Me.
The old cock.
And long may your big jig draw. Indeed I is the old cock, and long may your big jig draw.
She might need another.
Rise up!
She
You
needs
are
to-
officially a
She never got
Newfoundlander.
it right the first time.
What?
She never got it right the first time.
I'll have another one with you.
Sarah wants one.
And I'll make a toast.
Enough last week.
Hillary wants one.
Matthew wants one.
Here,
Hillary
Over,
That cost me nothing.
never.
And I want to be able to have a drink at Jeffrey and Nicole's
Oh,
wedding.
bless her.
You gotta bless her.
Where's
I'll do
Hillary?
that now.
You know.
I should have done this. I officially dubbed you an honorary Newfoundlander. Now, the toast. Joe.
That's you.
Yeah.
That's Cyril.
Come on, Cyril.
God, Merrick, no, God, no.
Alright. So he's a screecher.
No. So your head may be logy right now. Keep your new friends tight. Cause God help us all, you're one of us tonight.
It's a very I'm glad we can have these kind of like it's good to sit down and chat with you, James, because we don't really get in the course of doing this podcast. We talked a lot, and then now we seem to just talk about what's like all that production type stuff and everything else, and it's good. Like I mean, not many people know. Like I think of all the hard work you put in, because I mean, even this is just one facet of Barkerville's like media. And I probably text you like I text you way too much. I'm like a teenage girl on you. Like you were like I am like sending you pictures. I'm constantly, and I'm like this week I was late and like thought I could do it. I really appreciate all the work you do, and I'm one section. I am literally probably like one in the pie of your day, like 1/50th of one thing that you have to look after, and I'm constantly bothering you. So I can only imagine like the course of your day of how busy you are. And you woke up at 5 this morning. We're talking at 7 a.m. We're always talking at like late hours, early hours to try to get this to do our podcast here. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the hard work you do. Like, yeah.
Well, thank you, Matt.
It's.
I appreciate what you're doing too. I mean, I really, obviously this is a labor of love for us both. And yeah, I don't mind getting up early and staying up late because it's so important. It's important to be able to continue to develop this relationship, but it's also important to tell not only the historical stories that are here in the Caribou and Barkerville, but the stories of the people who are telling those stories. And just getting an opportunity to do that is really fulfilling.
But I really appreciate you sitting down and chatting with me, and we will sit down and talk again because we have Amy Newman coming up next episode. Since you started the episode, or started this a little bit, how about you do the finale to it? You say good day and do the ending of it.
All right. Historytown would not be possible without the hard work and dedicated efforts of Matthew Quick, James Douglas, and Dirk Van Stralen. And we'd also like to thank our special guest for today, the Cod. Now, here is a beautiful Irish tune from the melodious pipes of one William Kuklis, Danny Boy.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. A summer's gone, and all the flowers are falling. 'Tis you, must go, and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadows, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadows. Oh, Danny boy, I love you so. And if you come when all the flowers have fallen, and I am dead, as dead I well may be, you'll come and find the place where I am lying, and kneel and say an Ave there for me. But come ye back when summer's in the meadows, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. 'Tis I'll be here in sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Danny boy,